Bang! Neeves Knives. I'm Jared. My lovely wife Kara's taking a nap, and today I am doing the top 20 knives in my collection. Now, I do have some knives loaned out, so I won't be able to put them in this video, even though they would absolutely be in this video if I had them. I figured I would end with a bang with my top 10 list, or top 10 week, even though I'm thinking about doing one more video where I do the top 10 knives I've ever checked out. So basically the top 10 of all time that I've ever, gotten to review. So I would have to do it on the iPad because I don't have all of those. I will say that you might not want to fast forward through this video because I'm going to be going through these things pretty quickly. So first up, since I don't have those knives, I'm just going to do 20, but just know that a few of these would be replaced by those knives. First up, the Kubi, the Medford Eris. I said Kubi, almost said Kubi because I have a Kubi Eris. But the Medford Eris, it is in CPM D2, which is not the same as D2. It's a powdered version of D2. I like the build quality of this knife, the sound. I carry it in a fifth pocket because I don't really like the clip, but it's a cool fifth pocket knife. And yeah, just really cool. There you go. There's the sound. Ooh. Nice and fidgety. The build quality is really good. Nice and solid. It's a little tank. Next up, these are in no particular order, but the Giant Mouse Ace Biblio M390 micarta wire pocket clip that works really, really good. Very fidgety. This knife didn't come perfect. It did have to take some time breaking in, but now this is a knife that will last forever, or as long as the steel will last. Depending on how often I sharpen it. It does take a really good edge, good blade geometry, and I love the drop foot blade shape. This is the Real Steel Griffin on needle bearings. It is a button lock. Very fidgety. This is a budget knife, but it's an amazing budget knife. It has one of my favorite steels, 14C28N, and super fidgety, but just an all-around great user too. Good blade geometry, decent ergos, and it's a really good EDC knife. I wouldn't call it a work knife, but it's a good EDC knife. These are aluminum handles. They're kind of slick. That's why I kind of call it just an EDC knife, but it works really good for that. With the needle bearings, very, very smooth. Next up, my favorite user, which is the Spyderco Picaro. This is in D2. It is on phosphor bronze. It is a very big knife, but an amazing slicer. You almost can't even see the blade. It's so thin. You can bend it. I mean, this thing is slicey. And that's what's cool about it, is that it's a very versatile blade. I love the blade shape. What a cool blade shape. And it, yeah, just an amazing slicer. G10 deep carry clip. Carries really well because it's nice and slim. Great ergos. Yeah, this is an amazing knife. Spyderco Shaman. This one's got the micarta scales. Very, very cool. This is a hard use knife for me. I do like this knife a lot. This one's an S30V. It's the black and red. It originally had black G10 scales, which I still have, but I love these micarta ones, man. They are taking a little bit to break in. Maybe I should carry it a little bit more and break them in, but man, I love them, love them, love them, love them. This is a very hard use knife, and you can just feel the build quality when you have it in your hand. This thing is a tank. I really, really like this knife. Locked up like a rock. My favorite Benchmade Griptilian, the sheep's foot. And then second, the mini grip. So these two are basically the same knife, S30V, the FRN handles, except for one is a big guy and the other one's a little guy. But this is an amazing knife. My favorite version of the Griptilians are the sheep's foot blade ones. I would like to get a G10 version. This one's very loud. Very addicting sound. But yeah, just a great user. Great ergos, great blade shape. Love this knife a lot. And then this one's just a great secondary carry, man. If you need a backup blade or even just a primary, you can get a full grip on it if you use this front spot right there. Nice little blade shape. I love this knife. Next up, the Buck Marksman in 154 cm aluminum handles with the strong locking mechanism, made by Hawk. Very, very fidgety, very awesome. You can tighten this right here where it'll take the strap and it'll pull it down and basically turn this thing into a fixed blade. Or like if it starts getting any play or anything, you can adjust this, basically the tension on it, to make it stronger or looser. Very, very cool. This knife is a great, great slicer. Love this blade shape. Love the grind. Very thin behind the edge. Ultimate slicer. And just a great EDC knife. Great sounds too. Listen to the sounds. Love it. Next up, the Benchmade 940-1 in carbon fiber. This thing's amazing. I love this knife. I didn't realize how much I would like the carbon fiber version. But yeah, man, it's so light, and the feeling you get when you flick it, it's hard to explain, but it has a different feeling that I really, really like. Blue standoffs, S90V blade that takes a stupid sharp edge. Very fidgety. One of my favorites. Love it. Next up, the Kershaw Bare Knuckle in 14C28N. They also have this in M390 or 20CV and different colors and stuff like that. I do like this one. I've had this since they first came out. This thing has served me well. I really like that Kershaw did a USA made knife like this, or to this standard. Very, very good knife. Deep carry clip, sub frame lock, aluminum handles. Like I said, 14C28N. Very nice. Next up, Spyderco Smock. Super duper fidgety. I took out the other detent ball. There is 2 detent balls in this where you can take one out and it makes it where it is very, very smooth. It's got like a top flipper, even though it's just basically a regular flipper. And you see a drop. You don't even have to try. The hole does work. And I love the hollow ground S30V blade. And the ergos are really good. It's got just basically a straightforward ergos. You do use this spot, or at least I like to use this spot right up there. Love the sheep's foot blade. Nice thin hollow ground blade. Love it. Love it. Has an aftermarket titanium clip that works very, very well. If you have one of these, I definitely recommend getting a secondary clip. T1, Kizer T1 S35VN blade. Great clip, great titanium frame lock. This thing is very, very well built. I really like this knife. It has good blade geometry. This is one of their older knives, but man, it's hard to beat. It really, really is. Great thumb stud action. The detent is nice and strong. If you like a nice strong detent to where the blade flies out, this is a great one. Nice access to the lock bar, and you can just feel the quality when you unlock it and put it back in. Very, very nice. Next up, the Hogueritter 20CV USA made G10 handle. Great ergos, great clip. This is a Doug Ritter. Very, very sharp. But yeah, this is just a great knife. It's a lot like the Benchmade Griptilian. I mean, pretty much just like it. So if you like the Benchmade Griptilian, you'll definitely like this knife. Plus, it's a little bit better deal if you look at the materials and what you get it for versus the Benchmade version. with the G10. Very, very nice. I do like this knife a lot, but I do like the sheep's foot blade a little bit better on my Griptilian. Next up, the Benchmade Bugout. Love this knife. Love it, love it, love it. I've had it for quite a while now. This is G10 scales, so I had to pay a little bit more for that. Originally it came with the FRN scales. Very fidgety. Mine is locked up solid. Very, very smooth. And even though I've broken a few Omega springs on this thing, I still love it. Very, very drop shutty, if that's your thing. But yeah, nice thumb stud action and just a good carry. Nice medium-sized knife. I mean, I guess it's a full-size knife for most people, but it's not a big knife. It's nice and thin in the pocket. Carries very, very light. Even with the G10 scales, it does not make it very much heavier. Yeah, I really like this knife. S30V, yeah, G10. I do want to get the blue hardware, though. I want to get the blue hardware to match the back spacers and that. The blue screws. I think that would look cool. If I don't, I'm going to end up getting the titanium scales instead. Next up, the TWOSUN TS226 Jelly Jerry design. I do like this knife a lot. I haven't had it very long, but I definitely know I like it a lot. Titanium, carbon fiber, 14C28N steel. I love that steel. Super fidgety. The front flipper doesn't work the best, but I can do it. Usually. But yeah, I can do it. It's just the back flipper works the best though. Very good detent. The detent is very nice, and the middle finger flick works good, and then so does the thumb flick when I try hard enough. But yeah, the middle finger flick works better. But it still works, and the access to the lock bar is very nice. Awesome knife. Next up, the TUYA DW1 and the TUYA DW2 Dave Warren design. This is the Tonto version, and then this is the drop point version. More like a straight back, but this knife, even though it's still pretty expensive, it feels way more expensive than it is. Very, very nice. This was the original one. They only made 100 of this version. As far as I know, you can still get these ones. This one's number 31. Nice thin hollow ground blade. Dual grind with the flat up at the front, which is still nice and thin. This one is just a dual ground flat ground blade. Pretty thick tip, so it's definitely more of a work knife. But so is this one though. Titanium frame lock, both M390. Yeah. Thought about anodizing the hardware because I have another set of hardware. Not sure if I will or not, but VVVlimentum S35VN, nice thin blade. I have a couple of these. I'm thinking about replacing this one with the Micarta. I haven't done it yet, but I do really like the S35 version. This one's nice and smooth, light blade, great detent, and yeah, super thin, thinner than the D2 version. Very slicey, even thinner behind the edge. Great ergos, just a good knife. Great clip. This one's in JG10. But I do have the Micarta version that I'm probably going to end up switching. SOG Terminus XR. I love this knife, but man, I hate that clip. But this is, man, SOG really turned it around, which I'm happy that they did, because they were definitely getting a bad reputation. So now they definitely are getting the reputation back, which I'm very happy for them. This one is the CTS BD1N or BD1Z steel. Z1 steel. Yeah. But great knife. It is on bearings with an access lock. They call it the XR lock. Very good knife. Love it, love it, love it. Next up, the TWOSUN TS195 Silverback. I recently got this one, but I already know that this is definitely one of my favorites in my collection. It's an integral. Very, very good budget for this knife. It's crazy. M390. The front flipper works so good. Very easy to front flip. And then the fuller works really good. Even the flipper tab. So they definitely did an amazing job with this one. Two more. So this one is, this is discontinued. This is over a 20-year-old knife. You can see the date right there, 99. This is a mini Socom. These things are pretty rare. You don't find these very often. This was a gift by Scott Big Bore Williams. Very, very cool knife. Kara absolutely loved it when we got to borrow one, and he seen her face and said, yeah, I gotta send her one of those, which is so awesome. We love Scott. We love everybody that has sent us stuff and treated us so good. And this is definitely a badass knife. One more. The Quest Custom Gent S35VN blade, titanium frame lock, carbon fiber inserts. Love the blade shape. Nice thin grind. Definitely gets very, very sharp. Good access to the lock bar. The detent is super good. I mean, this thing just flies out. The jimping is nice and bitey. It bites you really good, so you don't slip. And man, it bangs out. Very, very cool. I really like this knife. Great size, great ergos, and man, it's just a heck of a work knife with amazing blade geometry. There you guys go. Top 20 EDC knives in my collection. Like I said, I do have more or other ones that I would put as my top knives, but I just don't have them. So there you guys go. Peace.